Hey folks, and welcome to Billy Maine Storytime. This is Mike Reynolds with the Cerebral Variety. We've been with Billy Maine for about 15 years. Actually, this will be 15 years. As of today, next year will be 16. But I believe this might be the final webcast of the year. Although I might do another webcast. I'll leave the option open. I'd like to do something for year end, and there's just so much going on this year. I mean, some positive, but mostly negative, and now it just seems like we're in preparation mode for when Trump takes office, and it just seems like so close away, so it's less than a month away. Oh, it's about a month away, and it seems like there's so much to do. I know that this isn't necessarily having anything to do with having a disability, but I really think it's important that people, if you especially live in Maine, get a passport, because it's going to be really hard to move if you live with a disability. And if you're on Social Security, it's basically impossible to move to a different country. If you're working with this disability, it might be a little bit easier, but you pretty much need to be independently wealthy. However, that being said, there is some really good reasons to have a passport if you live in Maine, because all around Maine, we happen to be the only state that's bordered by one state, but yet we have like several different provinces. We have Quebec, we have New Brunswick, we have Newfoundland. For Canada, and Canada is a wonderful country. I've heard it's a lot cheaper on the east than the west. I guess either Montreal or Quebec City is one of the most expensive cities in America. It could be Toronto. That's what I was thinking, but my friend said it was probably Montreal. I remember buying tickets to a concert in Montreal, so it was cheaper to buy them there than it was in Boston. So, I don't know. Things change. My memory gets faded. I don't know. But I really expect everyone to get a passport. They're $100 for a regular passport. I know you can get a passport to go to Canada and Mexico for $40. But if you're going to spend that, you might as well spend the $60 and get a passport so you can go over to England and go to Iceland and you get cheap airfares. It's really worth checking out. And I mean, Canada has really great places you can travel in a day's drive. You can get to Montreal in a day's drive from Lewiston. It's only about 4 hours away, if that, well, each way. I know they must have, like, a bunch of chartered buses. I just don't know anything about them. I wish I did, because I would love to be able to go on a chartered bus in Montreal sometime, or Quebec City. As my entire, family is from that area, so... Anyway, let's see. We've had in the UK the passing assisted suicide, and that happened at the end of November. It wasn't even close. It was pretty much defeated the last time it went to vote, I think 8 years ago, and the UK activists were amazing, and it should have passed, but it did, and of course they're going to use all the quote-unquote safeguards that are used in other European and Canadian and unfortunately, those safeguards are not all that great, so, and can be easily gone through. And it's sad that, suicide's allowed for certain people with certain disabilities, but it's frowned upon for other people with other disabilities. So, it's obviously so ableist, and it's also been shown that, within the last 2 years, anorexia has gone from a terminal diagnosis to a non-terminal diagnosis from the National Anorexia Medical Doctors and Foundation. So anorexia, which was once terminal, is no longer terminal, and people have been able to die of medically assisted dying in states in America that just have anorexia. I believe Hawaii, Colorado, and Oregon were all states that had anorexia, and now anorexia is no longer a terminal illness. So for it to be treated like that, you can't have AIDS. So unfortunately, people don't understand this. It's been used in states to deny cancer care. Sorry, we won't pay for your chemo, but you can die of. Maybe we'll pay for that. That happened, I believe it early back in the 90s. So that happened in the UK, and I believe in Canada right afterwards there was a report that said that there was a lot of egregious issues where with people who just not getting the proper mental health sports, and really egregious times with people who wouldn't necessarily be good candidates for made, still getting made in Canada, unfortunately. And while this may not be a big thing in Maine, again, it's only 2 hours away from Maine to Canada. I mean, and the sad part is but also Maine has one of the most, unfortunately, has one of the most easiest laws in the country, and the reporting is very, very lax, to say the least, compared to other states. Diana Coleman even said that before she died. This year, back, we were talking about numbers that were released before her death. And it sucks that I talk about this because I worked so hard. It was 5 years ago that we lost it. And you don't hear much about it, but we have had, people talk about dying on their own terms in their obituaries and stuff, which is just weird and just absurd, and almost, it's like, what kind of world are we living in? But then we realize it's post-COVID, and it's just difficult to even picture some of the things that I've gone through. We had a civil war type thing happen on January 6th in 2021, and people got off, and first thing that President Trump's planning on doing is widespread parole for all these people who've been convicted of January 6 crimes. So, I mean, it's disgusting. And the pics he's had for offices are laughable and disgusting. Matt Gaetz actually quit his trying to go for Attorney General because it was just a laughable joke that the person who wasn't the investigation for drug crimes and having sex with minor was going to be the Attorney General with very little college experience and no law degree, and kind of an issue with ethics and breaking federal laws, etc., etc. But in any case, he withdrew his nomination. Instead, we have an alcoholic wife beater who his mother-in-law already called him a bad person. He heads with his Greenwood Department of Defense, although they want to put transphobe DeSantis in there if he doesn't make it through the nomination. And it's kind of funny that this whole all these Trump pics are being put up because right now Trump said don't go through with this federal funding for the House spending bill, and it didn't pass, and there's some really weird things about it. I haven't heard everything about it because you don't hear all the pork in the bill. Although it's nice to know that Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, can tell people, that it's a bad bill that can magically just not pass. But apparently this bill actually has some really bad parts of it that would affect people who it would set a really bad precedent. This is, I believe, in the New York Times. I don't have a link to it. I can put a link up to it on the Ability Man page. It may take a few days. But I believe that there was a law case in which 3 minors of service members who receive health care through TRICARE, which is the Armed Services health care, were involved in a lawsuit and settlement over transgender care. And the issue being is that TRICARE was trying to say they don't cover any sort of plastic surgery, but these people were saying gender dysphoria wasn't necessarily plastic surgery, and sometimes even plastic surgery isn't plastic surgery. I had broke my nose once and needed a nose job, but I needed it because I broke my nose. I swore my cerebral palsy screwed up my body so bad that if I didn't have my surgery, I would have died because I literally couldn't empty out my nasal congestion and my breathing congestion without it. And the next year I actually almost got, I think it's pneumonia, bronchitis. I could have died of it had I not had surgery. So it does sort of deal with that, and so the spending bill would have basically neglected, it would have, the lawsuit turned into a settlement. It would have negated the settlement. The settlement would have allowed for surgery to happen. So with that happening, I kind of see, and this is like something that was put in last minute to stop it, and it's really annoying because you don't know how long things are going to go for, how long they're not going to go for. But so this TRICARE bill was part of that. It's one of the reasons why it's a bad thing to pass this bill, but I don't think that that's why that Trump supports it. I think Trump put it in there to pass it. I don't know why he's against it. It will affect like military who have deaths in the military or stuff like that. Spending bills suck when they're done like this. This is more reasons why big corporate government sucks so bad, and why they just kick the can down further and make things worse for people. In terms of this, we will get a Social Security check that will not be affected by this. The states have made sure that the government made sure that you will get paid. It's an essential service, so that's nothing to worry about. Additionally, I'm trying to think, I'm missing so much right now. We have RFK Jr., who is a crazy individual who has done lots of drugs, who has campaigned against marijuana, which, I mean, I dealt with that personally because I actually had to, if it's not your enemy's enemy, it's not your friend. But yeah, it's kind of crazy, and it's also ridiculous that he's going to be considered for the position of FDA. He's saying he's not going to work on the vaccines, and he's going to let people use the polio vaccine, but the polio vaccine causes cancer. Actually, the polio vaccine used to cause cancer in the first 3 years it was produced, and it was a virus that caused cancer. And it's well documented, but it's not like the same polio virus that was used in the 50s is being used now. It's not. It's a different virus. So, unfortunately, and it's well documented that RFK Jr.'s vaccine views have killed people. It killed over 80 people in the Congo with the measles outbreak after he went to the Congo and told people not to take measles vaccines because they were dangerous. So 80 people died as a direct result of his stuff. He also, again, besides the marijuana stuff, he is rabidly anti-marijuana. I doubt you would see marijuana rescheduling happen, even though I believe Trump said he would reschedule marijuana. I don't think you're going to see that happening under RFK Jr. Or any of the other FDA things. But then again, Biden also was really not great about marijuana stuff too, although he did sign the marijuana federal prohibition act that gave clemency to a lot of federal marijuana convicts, which Obama didn't even do. So in that way, I guess he's a little more progressive, but Biden put up the RAVE Act, which made giving water to people at concerts and raves, trying dance festivals, illegal. Like, literally, it was written so that if you gave someone water, you would be promoting drug use. Seriously. So that's why people couldn't use drug kits to test their drugs for so long. That's why people have died at raves. That's why people like are dying of fentanyl because of the Rave Act. Literally, go look it up. It made programs like Safe Dance illegal, which was horrifying if you think about it. Additionally, with this year's been such a weird year that to have anything that's gone well, and yes, I'm wearing my pajamas because my body just absolutely sucks right now in terms of my lower half of my body just hurting, and my GI tract just feel immensely more comfortable in pajamas. And I don't see. You can't tell me I have pajamas on. I look like I'm a hype beast wearing, disabled guy wearing Keith Haring shirts and Carhartt hats, Supreme Box logo shirts and nice everything. But anyway, one good part of news is that a deaf journalist, deaf-related journalist, and I want to make sure I get his name right. I'm going to link directly to his site, but Liam Odell is self-described deaf-related journalism campaigner. The FDA has confirmed its intent to ban the electronic substance devices such as those used in Dead Rottenberg on Monday in response to the author's request for comment. Confirmed that estimated publication date of October 2025. Why it needs to take more than 10 months to put forth a discussion that the FDA already made when they published the ban on electronic stimulation devices across 5 years ago. It was unclear the FDA made the decision to ban devices in March 2020. This is an update from Nancy Weiss, who has been leading the argument against this for over 30 years. After convening a panel of experts to speak clinical and scientific opinion on the risk benefits of using electronic behavioral control, and removing over 1,300 comments in the proposed ban, and material petitions signed by over 290,000 people calling for these protections. The FDA announced the ban on touch devices in 2020. Standing by decision made because the device prevent unreasonable and substantial risk of both physical and psychological injury. This provides hope the ban may actually be eventually be enacted. The article provides a bit of concerning events, and Liam Odell's piece is believe available I don't and I believe his piece is on liamodell.com, liamodell.com. Disabled freelance journalist and campaigner. Really nice website. And he's got stuff from all over the UK, and apparently has covered the GRC stuff. So it's really great. And this is information from Nancy Weiss. So great to hear from there. And again, finally, apparently they actually looks like will be losing the ability to use shock therapy as a result of everything that went through with the budget passing and everything going through. There have been other, I'm trying to think of anything else I can think of in terms of um, uh, so, and tomorrow is the solstice. It's been a long few months. Oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to talk about the Frontline piece. Frontline did a documentary on the mass shooting in Maine that happened in October of last year. It's a very compelling documentary. I watched it as a journalist, and I was very happy to see people who I have been following reporting this, and people who I appreciate. I really like statements where I wrote. I can't tell you how I adore Susan Sharon. Full disclosure, she's just great. And the other journalists involved were also excellent. And it would have been really, I mean, I wouldn't want to do that. I'm way too not a mainstream journalist. I don't want to be a mainstream journalist. I couldn't handle those. Couldn't handle that commission and those reports and those findings. Definitely not my realm or my energy, but the Frontline documentary was really good. It really showed that Robert Carr had a very, very steep decline that was well documented. I think it makes the Commission's report laughable to blame it all on Captain James, Sheriff James Schofield. And I mean, the Frontline documentary team does a really good job showing what Schofield knew, broadcasting phone calls and interviews. It makes it very clear that he didn't have all the knowledge that everyone thinks he did. But Janet Mills still thinks that he was his problem, which is just sad. And, you know, I'm not going to fault the governor. I mean, the governor now says she wants to run as Susan Collins in 2026. Keeps her away from Maine, it might be a good thing. Or maybe she could lose and just go be retired, you know, go do things that are not, you know, so controversial as passing a suicide bill or having your sister be the number one person behind it, even though she couldn't technically, she doesn't even have admission duties where she works as a doctor, so kind of funny when you're a doctor you can't admit patients because you're a public health doctor, Dora Mills. And I'm going to debut with Dick because honestly, Dora, you deserve it. And Dora Mills will always deserve it. As does the entire Mills family, to be honest with you. They're all a bunch of white privileged trash who has used the state of Maine for their own good and their own pilfering. right, left this agreement. Um, and in, I guess, national news, Luigi Mangione is a murderer who, in early December, shot and killed Brian Thompson, the CEO and chief executive of United Healthcare, in broad daylight at about 7 a.m. New York hotel. He was in manhunt for 5 days. He was apprehended in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Brian Thompson was the CEO of United Healthcare Insurance. UHI is the same insurance that I have right now, and that my friend Carrie Lucas had. Carrie Lucas is a disabled activist who died a few years ago because her insurance carrier made her try a generic drug that she knew she wasn't going to be able to survive, and she knew she was working to. They made her try it, she lost her voice, and it set her down a spiral of infections and stuff that would lead to her death. And when I say I knew Carrie Lucas, it's like her information is in my iPhone. I could call her with it. It wasn't like she was like some person on a listserv. And it's hard, and it's really hard. I don't condone violence. I'm not a violent person at all. But Brian Thompson makes $25 million a year. That means he makes what a doctor makes in a week to deny people. And also, which was a really interesting statement I heard, is that United Healthcare generally has a 22% denial rate, and under the federal ACA rate, it's supposed to be about 5%. So, that 17% basically profits that they weren't supposed to be getting, but they get anyway. And for a doctor to make, for a healthcare executive to make 12 to 15 times more than a doctor, and for a doctor to present to die what doctors need and to get paid 12 to 15 times more than what they ask for, it's absurd. By no means am I going to support Luigi Mangione's actions, but I do find it weird that today that the federal government is considering a death penalty case against him because of his murder of Brian Thompson. I don't think somebody would get the death penalty if they tried to kill me. And it's kind of scary because I was near a shooting this week. I was on the same street as a shooting in Lewiston. That's still being investigated, and I was a couple blocks away, but yeah, it's kind of scary. I don't want to get into how close I was during the mass shooting. That was just bizarre. But yeah, it's a weird time to be in America, where people are supporting cult leaders, and literally, like Tulsi Gabbard has a intelligence share would be dangerous. Go look up her Wikipedia page. Look at her father's deep. She used to be extremely homophobic and transphobic, and she blamed it on her father's cult beliefs. Also, it's weird that like Charles Kushner, who is Jared Kushner's father, who Charles Kushner spent time in jail for corruption, paid $2.5 million to get assigned to Harvard. Is now going to be the ambassador to France. Laura Trump left the RNC to possibly go for a Senate seat that's been vacant. It's going to be going, possibly flipping for a Republican in southern Florida, and Don Jr. Trump Jr. bought property from Austin Dario's parents up in Aroostook County to possibly be a spoiler, MAGA run against Susan Collins in 2026 for a primary. I don't think that happens, but he did buy the land. I think it could be also part of the reason why Dario ran, but you never know. I mean, Dario ran as well as he could, and again, to like do some research on Austin Dario, he was a race car driver who suffered a traumatic brain injury from hitting a part of the raceway in Vegas, Las Vegas International, or something that didn't have any protection on it because they never saw you was hit on it, and has never really had a job and wasn't really necessarily living in Maine full time, but became a representative up north and missed a whole bunch of votes, and like a month and a half's worth, and kind of made Madison Crossland seem much more qualified than ever should have been for a job, and he lost the election to Jared by a few thousand votes, which is kind of scary because Jared Golden's actually pretty darn good congressman, in my opinion. I mean, I agree with everything he does, but I think he does a good job. And so it could be interesting. It will definitely be interesting, and we may or may not be doing something for the rest of the year. We don't know. If not, have a great New Year, have a great solstice, and have a great holiday, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Festivus, Spaghetti, Monster Day, if that's the thing, and enjoy yourself. And I might be back. I may not be for the rest of the year. We certainly have plenty more to talk about, but hope you have a great holiday, and if not, we'll see you next year. Peace, and have a great time.